Tensions are rising in Cameroon's northern city of Garoua as protests erupt across multiple cities. 20 demonstrators were arrested on Tuesday for protesting the results.
Violence has erupted in Garoua, the hometown of opposition leader Issa Tchiroma, where at least one person has died.
Incumbent President Biya has been re-elected.
Police initially tried to scatter the demonstrators using tear gas. Media reports say officers later opened fire on the crowd.
Local media outlets are reporting demonstrations in Yaoundé following the announcement. Angry protesters are alleging electoral fraud days after an opposition candidate declared victory. The government and traditional leaders have issued several statements calling for calm and restraint.
2 top opposition leaders in Cameroon have been arrested. Their Union for Change political platforms.
It is over. The battle for Cameroon's future has ended, and Biya has won again. Across the streets, supporters cheer in celebration. But beneath the noise lies a big problem. This victory doesn't just mark another election. It marks the survival of one of Africa's longest-serving rulers, despite the growing wave of young revolutionary voices across the continent. From the rise of bold African leaders like Ibrahim Traoré to the fearless opposition figures within Cameroon itself, a new era of defiance has been building. But Biya's victory has poured fuel on the fire. Reports of heavy protests, violent clashes, and mass arrests had already flooded the internet as frustrated citizens take to the streets during the election. An act to show that this time is different. The unrest is expected to rise as the results send shockwaves across the globe, but security forces have been deployed across major cities to ensure that demonstrations against the government is restricted. But one question now dominates every conversation in Cameroon. Is this democracy or the rise of a life president? After days of tension, waiting, and public unrest surrounding the election process, an election many describe as fraudulent, state-controlled, and deeply compromised, the results are finally out. At 92 years old, Biya has once again defied age, opposition, and time itself, declared the winner of Cameroon's presidential election. Biya now extends his rule into an astonishing 5th decade, a reign that began in 1982. This means that, if his health holds, Biya could rule until his 100th birthday, potentially dying in power as one of the world's most enduring authoritarian leaders. For his supporters, this victory represents stability and continuity, but for millions of Cameroonians, it signals the death of democracy and the birth of something much darker. Welcome to Win Africa, where we uncover the untold truths behind Africa's most powerful and controversial leaders. Biya, the invisible president. For decades, he has ruled Cameroon from the shadows, rarely seen in public, governing through loyalists, and a system built entirely around his will. But behind this image of calm leadership lies a machine, one that silences dissent, manipulates elections, and controls every institution capable of challenging his throne.
It was always clear, it was always going to be Biya being declared winner of that election in a landslide. That is exactly what has happened.
How did one man manage to hold on to power for over 40 years? And why are so many afraid to challenge him even now? Cameroon is divided. The Anglophone crisis continues to burn in the West, while poverty and unemployment choke the youth in the cities. Many young people, once filled with hope, now see Biya's regime as a symbol of stagnation.
The elite of the Southwest and Northwest, they are not giving confidence to their people because they don't care, they don't know what their people are suffering. People are sleeping in bushes. People are refugees in the neighboring country like Nigeria and the other places. That is not unity.
From Yaoundé to Bamenda, protests have erupted. met with the full force of the military. Videos circulating online show chaos, smoke, gunfire, and cries for freedom. The people are no longer just asking for change, they're demanding it. Across Africa, a powerful wave of youth-driven revolution is reshaping politics, from Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso to Assimi Goïta in Mali. Young leaders are challenging the old order and calling for true independence. But Paul Biya represents the opposite, the old guard, clinging to power through fear and control. Cameroon now stands as the ultimate test.
Since I've grown up, I'm about 30-something years old now. Knowing all the Paul Biya, I've never known any other president. In the assembly, we know all the Kavaye Jibri, that is Speaker of National Assembly. Since I went to primary school, I've never known any other Speaker of National Assembly rather than Kavaye Jibri. What does that mean? It's like we are making dictatorship. Huh? We can't give chance to the youth. We have to give chance to the youth.
Will the continent's youth-inspired momentum stop at its borders, or will the flames of resistance spread beyond them? One of his strongest opposition leaders, Issa Tchiroma, was rumored to have defeated Paul Biya in the early vote counts, a moment that gave millions of Cameroonians hope for real change. For the first time in decades, people believed that the winds of transformation were finally blowing through the nation as results began to trickle in. Different polling units erupted in celebration, echoing chants of victory for Tchiroma. Videos flooded social media showing supporters dancing, waving flags, and declaring the end of Biya's era. Then, in a dramatic twist, Issa Tchiroma appeared before the press, thanking the people of Cameroon for standing by him and promising not to disappoint their trust.
First, I want to say thank you to the Cameroonian people. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for believing.
His words carried the confidence of a man who believed victory was already his. In a Facebook post on Tuesday, Tchiroma asserted that our victory is clear and must be respected, urging the government to accept the truth of the ballot box or risk plunging the country into term. He also vowed to publish detailed regional results soon, maintaining that the people have chosen. He made this claim despite the early warning from the Interior Minister that only the Constitution Council can announce official results.
In the coming days, I will share with you a detailed report of your vote by region as compiled from the result publicly posted in accordance with Article 113 of the Electoral Code in polling stations across the countries and the diaspora.
But just hours later, the nation was thrown into disbelief. In a shocking announcement, Paul Biya was declared the winner, defeating his opponent by a surprisingly wide margin. What began as a moment of hope quickly turned into outrage. Cries of manipulation, corruption, and injustice filled the air as citizens took to the streets, demanding answers.
Biya continues to dominate Cameroonian politics in the way and manner that he does. 71%, landslide. I think perhaps there's something else that we do not know. But of course, the reaction from the opposition is very, very clear about the way the election was conducted. with regards to the opposition, obviously a lot needs to be done. But then, what can they do when all the louvers, really, of the control of the ELECAM, the Cameroonian Electoral Commission, is firmly in the hands of Paul Biya and his cabal and those that are in power with him. The Anglophone speaking areas of Cameroon is clearly another, referendum that has been passed on the Paul Biya government.
Let's pause for a second. If you've watched this video up to this point, or you're still tuned in, it means you truly care about the message and support Africa's growth. Please take a moment to subscribe and follow our YouTube community. It shows that you appreciate the effort behind this content and want to see more stories that matter. Let's continue.
As important as this says it all, that they have lost absolute confidence in the government at the center. And Paul Biya, well, he has, said a lot of things about the need to run an inclusive government, the need to do something about the agitation in the Anglophone speaking areas of Cameroon and all of that. But it's one thing to say something, it's another thing to be able to walk the talk. He has shown his inability to walk the talk, for so long, and that is why this crisis has gotten to the level that it has gotten to. So
many asked the same painful question: how did Biya win again? Despite everything, Cameroonians have seen this story before. In 2018, opposition leader Maurice Kamto, who was widely believed to have won that year's election, faced the full weight of Biya's regime after challenging the official results. Kamto was arrested, his supporters beaten, and many jailed without trial, simply for declaring himself the rightful winner. His detention sent a clear message to every future challenger. In Cameroon, defying the government's narrative comes with a heavy price. Now, as Issa Tchiroma continues to question the legitimacy of the recent results, many fear he could share the same fate. Analysts warn that if he keeps pushing against the system, the regime could use similar tactics: arrests, intimidation, or the silencing of his movement, to ensure that Biya's grip on power remains unchallenged. Across major cities like Douala and Yaoundé, the tension could be felt everywhere. Streets once filled with music and celebration have turned into zones of uncertainty. International observers have raised concerns over media censorship, internet restrictions, and the suppression of civil rights during and after the election. For many, it's no longer just about who won. It's about whether freedom itself still exists in Cameroon. Under Paul Biya's leadership, poverty rates have continued to climb, insecurity has deepened, and corruption has spread across almost every sector of government. Many citizens believed that this election would finally bring a change, a new beginning for Cameroon. But now that Biya has been declared the winner, one question remains: what does this mean for Cameroon? Will the people continue to endure poverty, silence, and fear? Will Biya finally rule differently, bringing reforms that generations have long waited for? Or will this victory ignite something far more powerful? A revolution that could reshape the country's future forever? The action of the people will determine what happens next, because in moments like this, silence is also a choice. Yet, there are exceptions that have reignited this debate, and one of the most notable is Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, rising to power through a coup in 2022. Traoré has since become one of Africa's most celebrated young leaders. Unlike many who seized power only to repeat the same mistakes, Traoré has been praised for his bold rejection of foreign dominance, his commitment to self-reliance, and his unshakable message of African unity. His speeches, filled with courage and conviction, have earned him admiration for beyond Burkina Faso's borders. To many, he represents proof that a coup does not always have to end in tyranny, that if led with genuine purpose and discipline, it can become a revolution that restores dignity to a broken nation. But whether this new model of leadership can truly endure, or if it will fade under the same weight of power that crushed those before him, remains one of the most important questions shaping Africa's future. And if you found this documentary insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next story on Africa's changing political landscape. Up next, watch PLO Lumumba reveal why France's power in Africa is collapsing. The truth behind a shifting world order. Click the video on your screen now to continue the journey.